Hello, I'm Louise and this is my channel, Your English Success. Also using the acronym YES. The word YES is used to give an answer of affirmation and agreement, but in this case it's used as an expression of achievement. And I'm inviting you to join me on my channel to Your English Success. In case you're wondering, an acronym is an abbreviation formed from the first letters of other words and then used as a word. Like YES is an acronym for Your English Success. I thought it would be appropriate for us to start this journey together, exploring ways to greet people you are being introduced to for the first time. Pleased to meet you is the most common phrase used in English when being introduced to somebody for the first time, but there are many other examples we will also take a look at. Your greeting should also be fitting for the situation in which it's being used. It could be more informal or more formal. A more informal example would be like meeting a new friend, being introduced to the friends of friends, or just casually talking to somebody at the supermarket, a sports event, or at school. Let's say you are at a party, your name is Gemma, your friend's name is Tom, and he's introducing you to Sam. Tom will say, "Gemma, this is Sam. Sam, meet my friend Gemma from school." You will then reply, "Pleased to meet you, Sam." Sam will probably reply, "Pleased to meet you too." Or if Sam is more confident in speaking English, he might even reply, "It's so nice to finally meet you, Gemma. Tom has told me a lot about your great times together in school." Now let's practice some examples of informal greetings. I will say the phrase and then give you time to shadow. That is to repeat after me. Let's do the first example again. "Pleased to meet you." And the answer will be, "Pleased to meet you too." "So happy to meet you." "Happy to meet you too." "I'm glad to meet you." "Glad to meet you too." "It's lovely to meet you." "Lovely to meet you too." "It's wonderful to meet you." "Wonderful to meet you too." You can also use any of these phrases to reply to any of the others that were used. If somebody says, "Happy to meet you," it's perfectly fine if you say, "I'm glad to meet you too." You don't also have to say, "I'm happy to meet you." And if somebody else says, "It's so wonderful to meet you," it's fine if you say, "I'm glad to meet you." Some American people say, "How do you do?" And your first reaction would be to say, "I'm fine, thank you." But it doesn't mean the same as "How are you?" It actually means "Pleased to meet you." So it would be perfectly fine if you reply, "Pleased to meet you too," or just a simple "hello" would be fine. This actually happened to my husband in an elevator in the USA when somebody stepped in and said, "How do you do?" And he replied, "I'm fine, thank you." He couldn't quite understand when the other people in the elevator were giggling, but they explained to him later that person A actually meant "pleased to meet you." Now let's look at some of the more formal examples of greeting somebody you are being introduced to. An example of a more formal situation would be a new colleague at work, being introduced to your teacher or lecturer at school or university, being introduced to a public figure you have greatly admired for a long time, or somebody else that you have a lot of respect for. Let's say Sam is introducing you to his dad. Sam would then say, "Dad, meet my friend Gemma. Gemma, this is my dad, Mr. Jones." If the situation is quite formal, you can then say, "I'm pleased to make your acquaintance, Mr. Jones." Or you can say, "It's a pleasure to meet you, sir," whichever seems fitting in the situation. Sam's dad could reply, "Pleased to meet you too, Gemma." If you're meeting somebody you have been admiring for a long time, like a sports hero or a public figure that you really have a lot of respect for, you can say, "It's an honor to meet you," or "It's such an honor to meet you." Let's practice the more formal greetings. I will say the phrase and give you time to shadow. "It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance." "Pleased to meet you too." "It's a pleasure to meet you." "It's a pleasure to meet you too." "It's an honor to meet you." "It's a pleasure to meet you too." "It's such an honor to meet you." "I'm glad to meet you too." So after all these informal and formal greetings, I guess we are now quite well acquainted. And I will be so happy if you will subscribe to my channel so we can share this journey to your English success together. Feel free to post any topic or content you would like me to cover in the comment box below, or tell me a story where you were introduced to somebody and maybe everything didn't work out as it was supposed to. Please share your funny story with us. See you soon!